This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Casper. Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost, directly to the consumer. Casper combines two technologies. We're talking about the springy latex foam and supportive memory foam to create an award-winning sleep surface with just the right sink and just the right bounce. Let me tell you what, Kevin. Recently, Curran, my best friend, he needed a mattress. And I said, you should go to Casper.com and use the code Kind of Funny. You can get one. He did that. It was easy to order. Next thing you know, he's sleeping well. He's having good night sleeps. You can do that too. Get a Casper mattress for $500 for a twin or $950 for a king-size mattress. Comparing this industry averages, that's an outstanding price point. And you can save $50 towards a mattress purchase when you go to Casper.com/Gamecast and entering promo code GAMECAST. So there's no S in there, just GameCast. Terms and conditions apply. Free shipping and returns to US and Canada. I want to hear all about the fun that you're having on your new Casper mattress. Anyways, that's Casper.com/Gamecast using promo code GAMECAST. Topic 3 is going in a bit more positive of a direction, although there's some negativity here as well. Yasir Mad Hour from over on Patreon. He asked, what are some of your favorite and least favorite video game endings? From a story, gameplay, emotional perspective, whatever you want. All console generations.
So this is he submitted his topic via patreon.com/Kind of Funny Games. Gosh, just making sure I understand. Thank you for your support. So the best and worst video game endings.
Mm-hmm. What comes to mind when you think that? Because I definitely got some.
The Prince of Persia remake.
Sands of Time?
No. The Prince of Persia remake, the Nolan North one, where it ended, and you were like, what the fuck is this? And then they're like, the real ending's DLC, and give us your money. And we're like, fuck you. You can go to hell.
That's interesting. So when I say what video game endings, best or worst comes to mind for you. Huh.
I think it's hard to nail a video game ending. I think it's a lot like a horror movie in a lot of ways, where this is such a great ride, and then you get to the ending, and it's like, okay. I mean, a good one that I think of, right, is the end of Metal Gear Solid, having that conversation either with Meryl or Hal or whatever, and then getting on the snowmobile and going, and the credits roll, and then there's this thing. But even that's
it is weird with Hal, though.
Exactly, I know. Yeah. But I mean, it is that thing of, even then, it's like, I video games for me, right, when we talk about endings, how many video games have you finished where you have that final boss battle, and you're so fucking frustrated? I can't think of the amount of times I've been like, I'm so glad they saved the most annoying mechanic for last. I've had so much fun this entire ride, and now I'm fucking frustrated and mad about this. And then I get a cutscene at the end that ends awkwardly, and we roll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, that's how you want to end this 10, 8, 9, whatever hour experience. Uncharted 4, great ending. All the Uncharted games have great endings, but Uncharted 4,
specifically
of course,
4 is like
a cap on the entire thing. That's got to stand out.
Yeah, for me, so when I read this question, there's two that jump to mind immediately. That's Journey and Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
For very different reasons. Journey, because it was an emotional experience that the entire time I was keenly aware of how I was feeling, and I didn't expect that ending. Like, it just hit me where I was like, fuck. Like, I care somehow way more than I even thought I did playing this, and it put perspective on the entire thing. Final Fantasy X was different in that the story kept progressing, and there's these characters that I really enjoyed, and you kind of grew with them, and there's like a lot of journeys and stuff going on, but at the end, from a gameplay mechanic, the boss fight felt very rewarding to me from a gameplay perspective, but also from a story perspective, where fighting against Tidus's dad and all this stuff, and then having to fight all the Aeons and summons that you had. There's something about that is, it's kind of, cliche to have to fight your shadow version or whatever, but it's satisfying to me. And I remember doing that and just being like, man, like killing each one off kind of like hit me. Like, I felt it inside where I'm like, those are my dudes.
My dude.
I'm killing my dudes, but I had to,
Sure.
And I liked that I had to, not just from a gameplay perspective, because it's like, that's a fun thing to fight these big monsters that were on your side, but also from the story perspective of that it all added up with Yuna's journey, with Tidus's journey, the whole thing, and then for it to end and the whole dream sequence and like their love story kind of coming to an end. It was very powerful to me, and like I remember it. And the music and the cinematography that it added up in a way that was very unique for a video game in 2001 or whatever it was that it came out. And there've been so many Final Fantasies before it. For me, Final Fantasy X was my first Final Fantasy, so I didn't play 7 or 6 or any of the ones till after. But even going back to them, they're cinematic in their own way. But Final Fantasy X, having the voice acting, for better or worse or whatever, back then it was awesome. Like back then to me, it was just like they're talking. That's really, really cool and interesting. And it makes you look at them and it feels more like a movie when these people are talking to you instead of just over and over again, you know? And I think about, like, I can hear that song in my head right now, just thinking about the ending. I hear it playing, and anytime I have it on my iPod come on, I can visualize it instantly.
That's the thing when a game ending nails it, and it'll stick with you for so long. I'm pulling out from last episode, right? Our 7 fave games, right? Obviously, Mario Kart doesn't have an ending, but like Peace Walker,
yeah, it does. The big fish coming up. You're standing on the things with the gold. The trophy.
Okay, thank you. You're hilarious.
Confetti.
You wouldn't know what it's like to win though, seeing as how you never win the Kind of Funny Nintendo World Championship. But Peace Walker's ending, right? Like, I vaguely remember talking to the boss's AI core, but it wasn't like powerful. Super Mario World, I'd assume I beat Bowser. I don't really remember how it ends because it was all about finding secrets and doing all these different things. Ocarina of Time, amazing ending. That one sticks with me. The final fight with Ganon, and then going back to being little baby Link and going on to do that one. Uncharted we've covered. Gone Home, obviously a super powerful ending, especially because the game, like we talked about, spoilers, lulled us into thinking it was going to be this horror movie kind of game. Then it's not. It's about this love story. Oh my gosh, how grazing. And then it's that whole go to the attic. And it's like, oh fuck. And I'll never forget going up the stairs like, I'm going to find her dead fucking body. They'd had some kind of what the hell's going on. Infamous, great ending. Mario Kart doesn't have an ending. But it's like, video game endings are so hard to nail. Infamous, I feel, has a great ending, right? I love the whole thing with Trish, how it's going to go, and then going in, finding out about Kessler. Nailed it. Infamous 2's ending, no, then Nix and the Nix and Quo. That didn't work out. So Snake Eater is what Kevin's whispering off screen. Yeah, that's a great ending.
I mean, so that's my thing is with Metal Gear. I mean, Metal Gear has consistently had endings that are very powerful. For
Metal Gear
I think that
2 sucked.
But that's the thing. It's Metal Gear Solid.
I'm gonna break my chains and jump in the water. And was it real or not? Is she really pregnant, Jack? I'll see you later. We're just fucking in skin tight suits in the middle of Wall Street or whatever. What the hell's going on?
But I think that's cool in that you say video game endings are hard to nail. Endings in anything are hard to nail, whether it's a book or a movie or whatever, because you don't really have too many options. It's either a cliffhanger or it's something that wraps up everything totally nicely, or it's something that leaves things open to interpretation. And I think that with Metal Gear Solid 2, it was that third option where it's just like, what the fuck is happening? And then especially when you pass the credits and there's the whole
they have no idea it's you
in on things and all this stuff's happening. It's like, it makes you ask a lot of questions, right? And it somehow doesn't feel cliffhanger. It felt like that was the end. Things are open, but it wasn't so much a cliffhanger. Yeah. But then Metal Gear Solid 3, that was just like a perfect. The story is done, and my God, was that powerful. So good. So the scene with Boss is just like,
the pedals in the air.
My fucking God, it's so good. And then for me, Metal Gear Solid 4 is the fourth style of ending, which is just the fan service ending.
End.
Which just keeps giving people what they want, Yeah. And honestly, that game gets so much shit for doing that, but I will never forget how excited I was when the credits are rolling and all of a sudden you see Big Boss's name go by with some random ass voice actor and it just keeps going and goes ring and it pops back up. I was like, what the fuck? He was in this game. And then bam, the cutscene starts and then things went off the rails. But that moment to me was like, it reminded me of Uncharted 4 in the sense of they were doing this for me, knowing that I played the other games, knowing that I loved the entire journey and that I wanted to have an end cap on everybody, and there it was. So
shout out to Last of Us.
What else do I got on here? Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII. I think Final Fantasy VII's end it's all right overall.
Yeah. The emotional impact of that is in the middle of the game.
Exactly. From the final boss fight, obviously, I think Sephiroth was awesome and using the limit break and all that was very, very memorable. But Crisis Core, I think, did a really good job of giving emotion to why we love Final Fantasy VII so much and why
Crisis Core was
we
a
love
sad game.
It was, and really especially the end, like with Cloud and Zack together, and like the gunshots and then all the memories and all the stuff. It's just like, man, like they really nailed what people care about these characters in a way that I think people remember Final Fantasy VII in a different way than it actually was in terms of the characters, and they kind of added a lot to it, which is great. That's proved how good that game is in terms of giving you the clay to play with and to kind of have in your head. But Crisis Core was the first good thing to come post.
After Dirge of Cerberus and all that.
Yeah, right, which was, whatever. Evan Children's hit or miss, but Crisis Core was good.
Yeah, I think, to me, I think a lot of game endings are underwhelming or just kind of exist. I don't, there are very few endings I think of where I'm like, that was a great ending. What a great payoff, because the payoff is in playing the game and enjoying the game and the journey. So I think The Last of Us's ending was cool because it was frustrating. I think that it gave you like it wasn't frustrating because it sucked. It was frustrating because it was just frustrating to me anyway. And that's what I liked. I actually think Infamous 2's ending was really good. Especially when I guess you can spoil it. He dies.
Spoil the shit.
I think that's cool, and that's a kind of a bold thing to do to kill your protagonist. At least if you played it a certain way. Spec Ops: The Line's endings are really good. The culmination of the delusions that he experiences throughout the entire game is that's such a powerful. That from a narrative standpoint, that game is one of the most powerful games I've ever played for sure. But again, like I just don't. When I think of game endings, I've beaten a million games. It's just like I don't know. Like I find that the narrative drive of a lot of these games when you're playing it to be way more interesting than the ending most 100%. Of the time. And I also feel like, to Greg's point, I think it's true. Like there are times where I'm just like, I just need to be done with this. Like I don't want to play this game anymore. Whether it was frustrating me or whether I've spent 40 hours with it and I just want to be done with it. Like you just want to get to the end and be like, okay, it's over. Ni no Kuni's ending was really good though. There are certain games that have good or great endings. I'm not saying that there aren't. I'm just saying it's not. I don't think it's important. It's not important like it is in film. It's not important like it is in a book, because since you're interacting with it the entire time, it's really about the ending is almost the sad part. There, I remember more feeling a profound sense of sadness from finishing a good game because it's over, not because of what I'm seeing or that like something emotional or resonant happens at the ending. It's like the game's over. That sucks. It's like when you finish a good book.
Yeah.
So
Walking Dead season 1, I think, has a great ending.
Yeah, that does.
But a great example, I think, is because we've gotten slapped on the wrist before, and I won't spoil it here. But in Persona 4 Golden, right, game I recommend up and down every time somebody asks about Vita, and I forget what it was, on some PS I Love You or something to that effect, I spoiled who the killer was. And this guy wrote, and he was so mad. I'm like, dude, that, like, when I think of Persona 4, who the fucking killer is like the least of my concerns in that game. It's about the relationships and this and getting this quest done and who am I going to fall in love with and how does this work. It's about the interplay of all these relationships, and the whole who is doing this weird supernatural throw people in the TV world killing is not on the radar of like, what, you need to play this game for this whole murder mystery. No, nobody fucking cares about that.
Halo 2, when I think about disappointing endings, because that was a cliffhanger ending that we didn't expect. We wanted that game to have a complete feeling to it, and Halo 1 did. Halo 1 was such a satisfying standalone experience, and again, the end from a gameplay and story perspective matched up so well. That final, like, games endings are hard from a gameplay perspective because there's a lot of times they throw gameplay mechanics at you that you haven't had to do the rest of the game, so it's frustrating to all of a sudden have to do this different thing. Yeah. But every once in a while, it's fun. It's things that make sense. I think that Halo's like Warthog race out of the thing blowing up is very similar to like Super Metroid, when there's those escape sequences where it's like, whether or not that's the gameplay of the whole game, it feels right. It feels right from the story perspective enough that I'm like, all right, I can put these two together. But Halo 2 just straight up ends, and it's just like you're about to get to the good part, like, and that's the problem, is they didn't give you the good part. I feel like the games need to give you that, and I think that's what a lot of the other games that I've mentioned did. Is that they give you that the fun stuff is the journey, but then they also have this like end cap on it. If you like bust your load too quick but don't have that thing, you're not really giving people the satisfaction that they're looking for. You mentioned Prince of Persia earlier. The Sands of Time was awesome. I loved because playing that from a gameplay perspective was so fun throughout the whole game. The final boss, I don't know, it was probably horrible. I don't remember at all. But from a story perspective, wrapped it up perfectly. The characters were right, and the characters had a good ending, and that's what mattered to me there. From gameplay twist perspective, things like Braid were so out of left field that I'm like, man, this is special. This is awesome. Portal. Holy shit, Portal. That's a game I absolutely loved purely for the gameplay. Then all of a sudden at the end, I'm like, There's a story that I didn't even realize was happening, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Portal's ending is cool. For a bad ending, the one that always sticks out to me is Resistance 3. The entire series happened without ever seeing the bad guys. That was like what I walked away from. I remember what a great game. Resistance 3 is a fucking awesome game, but the ending, I'm like, really? You never even see the Chimera once. You know, like the real Chimera.
Yeah. Everybody you see is an infected person.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
Chimera
And I'm like,
virus.
come on, like. I remember being so disappointed. I'm like, I was actually unusually invested in that series, and I was like, there's no payoff at all. But the journey was fun. I don't regret playing them. I think they were great games. Especially Resistance 3 is a fantastic game. So I don't know.
Endings.
The last one I want to talk about is, and unsurprisingly, is Pokemon, specifically the original ones, because I think that the game had such a good progression in terms of going through the gym battles that once you got to the Elite Four, you felt like a fucking badass. So getting through them and then fighting your rival, it felt so right. And I remember being a little kid and your Pokemon get one by one put in the Hall of Fame, and I felt a connection to those guys. And I was just like, fuck yeah, those are my dudes, and they are now in this Hall of Fame.
That's
and
cool.
It's just like, I remember seeing the credits and like not wanting to turn my game off. I knew that I couldn't save after or whatever and continue in a way that meant anything. But I was just like, I earned these credits, you know, and there's not too many games that I'm like, I'm going to not skip this because I feel like I need to watch it. I didn't expect anything after or no post-credit scene. This was a long time ago. I just was like, no, like I want to see it say the end, you know? So that's the end of that topic.
That's the end of the topic.